This is Kitzur Yomi as we continue learning Hilchos Chanukah. We pick it up in the middle of Siman Kof Lamed Tes. We pick it up from Sif Yod Beis. Says the Kitzur Belel Rishon Mevarich Hamadli Kodim Adlaka. On the first night we make the bracha before lighting. How many brachas on night number one? Gimel brachas. Number one Lahalik. Number two Shas and Isim. Number three Shehechi Anu. Ushara Leilos and all the nights in Mevar Shechianu, of course. We do not make a shachiyanu. After you make the brachas, you light one candle. And while you're lighting the other ones is when you say Haniras halalu. Important detail we can't miss is after you light the first one. All too often you see people that they make the brachas and as they're going in for night number one, they start saying Haniras halalu. That is incorrect. It's after you finish night number one. Then you say Haniras halalu. Ger Oimer continues the Kitzur when a Ger says the brachos of Shas and Nisim li Yisrael. He doesn't say La Avoiseinu. V'mamar La Avoiseinu, he is Yotzim. Oinin Rachman al-Itzlan. If someone is an Oinin, which is after a relative is nifter before the Kvura, Im Yeshach, and someone else Yalikacha bebracha, someone else should light with brachas. Hu Ya'aneh. Amen. He writes without the brachais, and in 053 they quote the Mishtabura that the reason is he really has no chiyuv, but for the persume nisa, for the publicizing of the miracle, that's why he's lighting, but he will not make a bracha. Kaim Malan, we continue with Sivyud Gimel. Hadlaka is a mitzvah, the lighting is the mitzvah. Pirush. Hadlaka hi mitzvah, the act of lighting is the mitzvah. Ubishas hadlaka, and therefore at the time of lighting, that is when the candles have to be in the appropriate place, with the appropriate amount of oil, which comes to exclude. Someone lit in the wrong place. He lit underneath Gimel Tvachim. 20 amos. And then then you move them down to the appropriate place. Psula, and they are possible. If at the time of lighting there wasn't enough oil. And then if you had an oil honey, that does not help. You put in a place where the wind reaches. And it's going to be blown out. Even though maybe you moved it away. But at the time of the hadlaka, the time of the lighting, that defines the mitzvah. You have to light another time. Will do not make another bracha. But if you put them in a place and you lit them appropriately, and by chance they went out, you did the mitzvah. You lit them in Aira. I subsequently went out. That is completely irrelevant because you set it up to be lit appropriately. The minhag is that one should relight it. On note 59, it says certainly on Erev Shabbos, when you light earlier than usual, should we light it? But again, of course, you don't make a bracha. Don't light one candle from another candle, even though ostensibly badsem, that is mutter. Rather light from the shamish, rather light from the candle they use to light other candles. Now, note 60 points out that once they burnt a half hour, says the Mishtabura, you let a light one from another, but you can't light a shamish from the Neiros Chanukah, which really, that is what often happens, especially if you're having oil, can't really put the two cups together. So you take your shamish and you go to get some fire. That you certainly cannot do from one of the candles. Kol zman mitzvah, and as long as the candles are burning and it's doing the mitzvah, which is how long? Dainu chatzi isha, aser lehanais me'er, and you're not allowed to get benefit from their light. Therefore, we place next to the menorah the shamish alik by the shamish which you lit with today, so that if you're going to go and use the light, if you're going to go and allow the light to benefit you, we consider that you're using the light of the shamish. It should be a bit higher. Why? So it should be recognizable. It's not one of the candles. We continue with Sifta Ezvav, Malik and Ears, we light the menorah and basic Knesses. Why? We should pursue me, Nisim, Varchan, Alein, we make a bracha on them. And note 60 points out, you make all 3 brachas, the first night, 2 brachas, and subsequent nights like you do at home. You put on the southern wall. You're not you have to light again at home, but you still can make a bracha, and you could actually even make a shechianu. A little bit of machlekes, as it's brought down in note 69. Rameshur holds that Lamaisa, even if you're the only person, you're not being yotzei someone else, you still could say the shechianu again. And Mishu Avar Rachman al Lo Yalik B'Lev Yishan Beis HaKnesses, he should not light the first light of Beis HaKnesses, Shem Sarach Lam Shechianu. V'aval in Lam Shechianu, but Tzibur Shem Zi Shechianu, and Tzibur Aval Bebeisai, Mevarech Shechianu. We continue with Sifte Zayin. Noshim Chayav is Minar Chanukah, women are obligated Shavema Yabai Sanes, as we learned in Sif Gimel. And a woman is even allowed to light on the half of their entire family. Note 72 quotes the Ber Halacha, who says La Maisa, a woman should not do it for her husband. It's better for the husband to do it. But it's good to know sometimes the husband can't make it home and whatnot. A woman is certainly allowed to light on behalf of everyone else. Once the child reaches the age of chinuch, he is also chayiv. Suma, a blind person, he can buy in, partner with someone else by paying for the lighting. Mutav, that is better than lighting himself. If he's married, he maleks b'shvila shisha light. If he does not have a wife, but he's living in his own area, if there's no one to partner with, then he can light with someone else's help, because obviously he cannot see, but he should not make the brachas. In note 75, it points out that a deaf person could light and make the brachas. We continue with Sif Yud Zayin. Be'erev Shabbos malikin tchila ner Chanukah. First comes Ner Chanukah, ve'acher kach ner Shabbos ubelvad. And provided she'elachar plaga mincha, of course it has to be achar plaga mincha. We first daven mincha on a porn halacha. On Erev Shabbos, you first daven mincha and then light the menorah. So if put enough oil so that the menorah burns at chatzi shah lachar sisa kachavim, half hour after it says dim liking. Havli brach levatala. Vim hiligates la bezach sarach lizar lahavsik v'izadav. You have to make a partition binam lebin adelas. Why? Shechavim ruch lefsichas anilas adelas. We don't want that every time you open and close the door, it could cause the fire to go out on Shabbos. You have to be mindful of Shabbos, number one. Number two, you have to be mindful that on Erev Shabbos you're lighting earlier. So it still has to be lit for the requisite half hour after Seis Akei Chavim. And therefore, for example, we light Halakas Neiros 18 minutes before Shkia. So then you have Shkia. Seis Chavim is not for another, 30, 40 minutes. So it's already an hour. And then a half hour after that, so at least an hour and a half. If someone wants to get Rabbeinu Tam, then you're going to be more like closer to 2 hours. But that is on an Erev Shabbos. Motzei Shabbos at Mavdilin. What do you do on Motzei Shabbos? First, make Havdalah, v'achach malikin er Chanukah, and then we light the Chanukah menorah. Beis Knesses, malikin kodim yitin l'cha, we light the menorah before the yitin l'cha. Mishu enu bebeisai. Someone who is not home one of the nights of Chanukah, Alma kamachir, someone else, if his wife can light for him at home, then light where you are, b'loi brachas. V'toivim efshir, it's better, shishma tchila es ha-brachas, to share the brachas from someone else, misha l'lik sham, v'chavin lotzit b'rachayisa, v'yana amein, and then v'achach aliku b'loi brachas, light his own menorah without the brachas. V'mein ishtam alek seis, let's say someone else does not have a wife lighting for him, but he's lighting, he's not home. Or bachrim that are guests at other people, they're boarding. They light with the brachas. Or be mishtatev, partner in with the balabais by paying a little bit of money. They have a share in the oil and the wick. Balabais using sashemen al share. Balabais should add a drop more oil for the person that's being mishtatev with him. Bishvil hashitof. Aval, however, yesh lahem nahadish ali kol echad b'fnei atzmai. Even though they're allowed to do that, it's better to light on your own. If someone is in a city in another house, not home, she is you should go back home and light there. We conclude with Sivcha, the oil that is left after Chanukah and the wicks. You should burn them. They're set aside for being using for a mitzvah, therefore they cannot be used for a mundane purpose. Unless so that it does not become part of the mitzvah, that which is left over. In note 87, it says, Mishbura is mashma, only the amount of oil for the mitzvah has this din of hoksal mitzvasai, and therefore you cannot make a stipulation on that at all. On the other hand, the oil for the after the half hour, that is mutter, even without a tanai. The oil that remains is not moksa to be used. Still, lamaisa, even though the Mishnah sounds as such, it is better to make a tanai that's saying everything after the half hour you will use for other purposes. And just to point out, anyone using the pre-filled cups, this is very important because often the next night you put a new pre-filled cup, but the previous cup had a little bit of oil. Okay, so we just said that the Mishnah Lumaisa holds a burn for a half hour, you're allowed to throw it out. But it's better to make it tonight and say any additional oil that is left over is not limitzvah, thereby allowing one to throw it out and discard of it. We'll pick it up from here. B'siyata dishmaya.